Hey guys, welcome back. I have finally hatched my first set of fertile hatching eggs. I'm going to walk you through the process that I took from beginning to end, everything that I learned along the way, and a few things that I might do differently next time. Spoiler alert, it was so much fun. Next time is right now. We are already incubating another set of hatching eggs. When I received the eggs in the mail, the first thing I did was let them rest for a little while, and then I unpacked them into the incubator. This is the first incubator that I ordered off Amazon, and I hate to say it, but it actually stopped working about 3/4 of the way through. So wouldn't necessarily recommend this incubator, but the new one that we have is a little more pricey, but very well worth it. I think when you're paying for hatching eggs, you might as well pay for an incubator that can actually take care of them. So out of these two incubators, this is the one I very much recommend. But getting that out of the way, this is the incubator I used for the first few weeks. So we'll pick up on the first candle day on day 8. I wasn't sure this day would ever come, but today is day 7. So this comes with a light, I don't know if you can see on there, on the incubator, but I'm gonna use a more powerful light. I think this is gonna work a lot better. So let's turn the overhead light off and let's see if any of these eggs have made it to day 7. I should have done this when I was unpacking them, but I did go ahead and label each egg with a number, and I used just a regular pencil for that. As you can see, the first egg looks pretty good. You can see a little embryo in there. You can see some veins. To be honest, I wasn't totally sure what I was looking for, but I did see a few differences in the eggs. Number 2 and 3 also had the same veining. Number 4 looks good. You can see that embryo in there. Number 5 looks good too. Now this is number 6. I wasn't sure what to look for at the time. As you can see, there's not really any veining. There's not any visible embryo with an eye or anything. I wasn't sure what that dark shadow was, but I later found out that was just the yolk. So I left this in there for now, but I ended up taking it out later on because it wasn't fertilized. But the rest of the eggs looked pretty good to me. If you're curious what kind of success rates you might get, I'm just showing you each egg along the way. But you'll have to wait until the end to see what our final hatch rate was. If you're more experienced at this point, you're probably checking the size of the air sac, which is kind of that little bubble on the bottom that you can see there. To be honest, I'm not really sure what to look for yet, so I wasn't really analyzing that at this point. So I thought that was pretty good. Looked like most of them were fertilized and growing pretty well. All right, so I'm pretty happy with that outcome. This is a little temperature and humidity sensor that I put inside. So far the eggs have been rolling nicely with it. I'll link everything for you guys, but this is just kind of double checking because this isn't the nicest system. Double checking the temperature and the humidity. I've been reading anywhere from 30 to 50% humidity for the eggs. Of course, like the internet, you can hardly ever get a straight answer, but I'm just trying to keep it between 30 and 50%. Biggest downside of this incubator is that you do have to manually open it and add a little water, which I have heard can cause problems around the hatch date. This system sent these instructions that basically say to use this spray bottle to spray on the shells to prevent them from drying out too much during hatch time. So I haven't decided how I'm gonna go about it yet, but probably what I'll end up doing is putting water spray on the egg surface like this specific incubator says. So I'm guessing a big part of it is just following the instructions of whatever incubator you get. The next time I candled them was about a week later, and as you can see, this first egg didn't look super great. It looked like it kind of stopped developing. So I ended up taking that one out, but as you can see, number 2 looks much darker. There's a bigger chick in there. What I found was most helpful for these next eggs and this next set of candling is to look for jerky movements. So if you move the egg around, you'll see kind of those veins would float on their own, but if I held it there long enough and I looked really closely, I could see little jerky movements, which were the movement of the chick itself. There's that number 6 egg again. You can see it never really made any progress at all. So this is the point where I took it out. If you look really closely, you can see that chick moving inside the egg. I was really lucky. These eggs are white eggshells. I've heard that the darker eggshells are pretty impossible to see anything, especially at this point in the game. So if you're just starting out, I would recommend going for a breed with the lighter eggshells or just white eggshells so that you can learn along the way. It's really hard to get it on camera. It's not showing up quite as well for you as it did for me, but you can see there are some jerky movements by the chick. The chick is definitely alive and moving around in there. This was a few days before lockdown, where I did not take them out anymore. We also took the egg turner out of there because we didn't want it to hurt any little chicks as they're hatching. So this was kind of the last hurrah to make sure I was getting out any eggs that could potentially explode if they rotted enough and would potentially harm any future chicks. At this point, honestly, I could not even believe that anything was going to happen. I was super pessimistic, but amazingly, on day 20, I saw a little pip. That is kind of where the eggshell just barely starts to break open. Actually, I think this was day 19 because this chick hatched an entire day early.
Oh my goodness. Hello, little one. Hi. We have our first hatch. Hello. Welcome to the world. I really hope we get more, but we got at least one here.
So this chick did hatch an entire day early and almost 2 days earlier than the others. So after this chick hatched, I didn't see any more pips. I wasn't seeing any activity. So I was actually very pessimistic that any of the other eggs were going to hatch. However, lo and behold, I waited about 30 hours after that first chick hatched and woke up after a night of sleep to see this. Overnight, a ton of chicks hatched. I guess 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more hatched overnight. So definitely don't give up hope if there is one chick that hatches before all the others. We were just sort of watching them, making sure everybody was drying off appropriately, monitoring the humidity. That humidity definitely did go up after the chicks started hatching. And that is another reason why I'm so glad that we got this nicer incubator. The other one, first of all, the other one would have been way too small for the amount of chicks that I was hatching. Even though it fit 15 eggs, I cannot imagine these chicks being stuck in there for that length of time. These chicks ended up sitting in there for about 48 hours because you're not supposed to open it as there's any chicks hatching. So as you can see, there were chicks hatching out of their eggs while the other ones were already out for quite a while. They do live off of the nutrition from the yolk for a few days. So that's why they're okay in there for a few days without any food or water. But because that first guy hatched so much earlier than all the others, I was actually pretty apprehensive to get them out, mainly to get him some food and water because he ended up being in there almost 3 days. And I think he was totally fine, except for the fact that they were all pecking a lot at the other chicks and at the other eggs that were starting to hatch. And I didn't think that was a great situation. So I ended up taking them out when only one egg was pipped left. I know there was a risk of potentially shrink wrapping that chick, but what I did was just spray it with a little water to try and prevent that. And I got those other chicks out of there so they could have some fresh nutrients, food, and water. So at this point, I think I had 9 chicks hatched and there were 2 more pips, I want to say. I waited until there was only 1 pip and then I moved those chicks out. And it all worked out just fine because I transferred those other chicks as quickly as I possibly could and kept that humidity high on that one egg. She ended up hatching just fine. I think the last egg that was left in there, it was not showing proper development. I don't think it was going to hatch. So I felt pretty good about the decision. And I was glad I didn't leave all those other chicks in there for an additional 24, 36 hours without any food and water, because that's about how much later this one chick hatched. Long story short, this was a ton of fun. I can't believe I waited as long as I did to try hatching fertile hatching eggs. Biggest takeaway is get the nicer brooder right from the beginning. I'll link the one that we love, as well as our thermometers and flashlights, that kind of thing, anything that might be helpful for you. There were a few things I was surprised to learn along the way, so if you're interested in a video on specific things you should know before you try hatching chick eggs, please let us know in the comments below. Also, if you have any tips or tricks for hatching eggs, we would love if you would leave a comment too. Thanks for watching today, and we'll see you next time.